I'm the project manager for the East Main Corridor BRT.
And hi, my name is Eliza Pendexter. I'm the Deputy Project Manager for CODA for the East Main BRT.
So I want to
Great.
thank everybody. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. I want to thank everybody for making the time to attend today. If you're watching this online in the future, thank you for taking a little extra time out of your day to stay up to date. We're here for the primary reason of getting you an update on the development on the East Main Bus Rapid Transit project, which will help us help you understand more about the LinkUS program and how it's evolving, and be sure to answer questions that you're probably going to have. Next slide, please. So the way that this will work is we will have a presentation that's about 30 minutes. This is a long presentation because it's a very long corridor and it covers several cities along the way. So after the presentation, there'll be a Q&A for about 30 minutes, and we'll open that at the end of the presentation. Some of the questions will be responded to in the Q&A chat, but most will be responded to verbally. If there's a question that's a yes or no question, we might answer it in the Q&A. But if we think it's super important that everybody knows, we'll answer it verbally so everybody has the opportunity to speak. We do ask everybody to ask questions related to the East Main project. Our team doesn't have all the answers about service changes or things that are happening currently at CODA. So I want to make sure that we're keeping all the questions to the East Main project. If you want to verbally ask a question, please, you can do that in the Q&A. We will unmute you during the Q&A portion, and you can use the raise your hand feature to indicate that you would like to speak. All right, so our meeting purpose is review the LinkUS program progress up to date, which I will do, and then provide an update on the East Main BRT design and project progress. Steve and Eliza will do that. And then, of course, those one-on-one conversations we will have with you. We do have some guidelines. We want to respect each other's time. We want to respect each other's ideas. And we know that you're going to have questions and concerns. We want you to share those questions and concerns with us. Just let's be, it's okay to disagree, but let's just don't be disagreeable. Let's be respectful of everyone's time, and we'll do the same as well. All right, so let's be respectful of your time and dive into the LinkUS program. So I'm going to give you an overview of what LinkUS is. Let's begin with CODA services. CODA has been around for 51 years. We're very proud of that. We provide multiple modes of transportation. The one that you probably see the most is our fixed route service, or our buses that travel up and down our streets every day. We have 300 buses at any given time providing service to tens of thousands of people every day. It's fixed route, which means they provide bus service on routes, the same routes and avenues every day. We also have on-demand service, and that comes in CODA Plus. CODA Plus is our microtransit service that serves the Grove City area, the Westerville area, and about 12 communities on the south side of Columbus. It is a point-to-point service where we're able to pick you up and drop you off at a location. Our idea is to help you get picked up close to your home and get to your nearest fixed route bus service. We also provide paratransit service in two forms. We have traditional CODA Mainstream, which is a service that you can book a couple of days in advance and they will pick you up. It's wheelchair accessible and helps provide mobility needs for people who have disabilities or our aging population. We also have an on-demand service, which allows you to get paratransit service with a 2-hour notice, and that's called Mainstream On Demand. And then we provide seasonal service. You might be aware of Zoo Bus, which is a trip from downtown to the zoo with a couple of points along the way. We do that all summertime, and we extend it in the fall on the weekends until Halloween. So with the LinkUS initiative, we want to tell you where we're going. With the initiative, we are going to take our existing service that we have right now and add 8 new CODA Plus zones. Now, I explained to you what Coda Plus is, where it exists now in Grove City, Westerville, and on the south side of Columbus. We want to add 8 more zones throughout our service area to help people better connect to our fixed route service and ultimately our bus rapid transit service. We also are taking some of those fixed route lines that you see today and either going to create 14 new or improved transit lines. We're also going to add those rapid transit lines that I was talking about. We currently have 3 already in design. That's West Broad Street, East Main, that we'll talk about today, and the Northwest Corridor, which would go from downtown Columbus to Dublin. All of this adds up to 45% more service. And if we can advance through that, I can kind of show you where those are being studied. So that dark blue lines are where we're currently placing bus rapid transit. Those lighter blue lines are some routes for near-term study, which means that would be routes 4 and 5 on the BRT line or rapid transit line. And we're also looking at some transit options on the north side in that light blue. And then we see some other opportunities of corridors for future study. So those are some that we're studying right now, but we're also talking about East Main today. Let's go to the next slide. So here's what's happening next. Those 3 rapid transit corridors, West Broad Street, East Main, and the Northwest Corridor, those are currently in design phases. We are also funding 83 community and neighborhood projects. That means 150 miles of new sidewalks, bikeways, and trails that will help better connect our community to our bus system, but also help better connect our communities, making it safer and more walkable. All of that is promised in the next 6 or 7 years. Also happening right now, remember when I said that we were looking at 14 new or improved bus lines? Line 30 is one that's currently in development. That would be a bus line connecting Dublin, Hilliard, and Upper Arlington to the Ohio State University. We also added another hour of service to our system in May. We added midnight service. For the first time since the pandemic, CODA is operating service past midnight to help second and third shift workers. Because we did that, we saw a 9% increase from January to June 2025 compared to the same time period in 2024. In May alone, when we added that service, we had a 17% increase in May 2025 versus May 2024. And I just did the numbers a day or so ago. Our year over year so far is more than 10% ridership increase. So we're seeing a lot of improvements and a lot of increased ridership thanks to the LinkUS initiative in increasing our service. So let's talk about East Main Bus Rapid Transit from beginning to now, and I'm going to turn that over to Steve to walk you through it.
All righty. Thanks, folks, for joining today. Again, my name's Steve Tweed, and I'm the project manager here at CODA. We're currently, as the schedule shows, we're currently at about 60% design, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that means. We hope to be at 90% designed in April of 26, and by the end of 26, we hope to be 100% designed and ready to go to construction. The plan is to go to construction early 2027 and to wrap up late 29, and hopefully with service to begin early 2030. Next slide. So again, here's a little breakdown of how the design has progressed. Up through the 30% design, we basically procured the alignment, the station locations, and any access changes and preliminary plans. Currently at 60% design, we are working through design refinements, excuse me, and any traffic plans coordination with the various municipalities and intersection and access efficiency increases. At 90% design, again, we're hoping to be there come April of 26. We should have our station designs nailed down, and then we're really working on the lighting and the landscaping plans, and then the construction planning and going into the phasing of the project. So that's sort of an overview of the 3 levels of design that we're working through. Next slide. And this slide talks about why we need more mobility options, as we've just talked about, and we will get into deeper. We expect to have 1 million residents expected by the year 2050, an additional 200,000 units of housing, and median prices will go up 45% since 2020. So there's a lot of opportunity gaps within all that. There are 40,000 Franklin County households that don't even own a personal vehicle, 1/3 of which live in a persistent opportunity gapped area. Next slide. So when we talk bus rapid transit, there are many amenities that BRT, or bus rapid transit, offers. Number one, it's the dedicated right-of-way with the flexibility, frequency of the capacity. The buses are larger, bigger. They are 60-foot buses rather than the existing 40-foot. The project will also include platforms with level boarding and multi-door boarding. You'll be able to procure your payments in advance of getting on the bus. And we also will run what's called signal priority. So all the intersections along the corridor, along the 13.6 mile corridor, will be timed in such a way that it will give advances to the buses and advanced queues, if you will, for the buses running along the route. And those are sort of the big picture ticket items of what bus rapid. But the main thing is the frequency. The frequency, generally the buses will be running 10 to 15 minute headways. So it'll be a much more frequent bus than what you see today, which runs pretty much half an hour or so. We'll be running 10 to 15 minute frequencies. And I believe the buses will run from 5 a.m. till midnight, 7 days a week. Next slide. 8 is the number of miles along the bus rapid transit that will be in dedicated guideway. What that means is there'll be a dedicated, what is today the number one lane in each direction will be dedicated for a bus only lane. General purpose traffic will travel in the second lane. There are 17 stations along the route, and we'll get into those station locations and within the cities later in the presentation. The project will potential touch upon 100,000 jobs could be potentially added along the corridor. And as I previously mentioned, there's about 64% of the residents who live in the areas where simply driving a car or owning a car is not a possibility. So yeah, so anyway, next slide. So this is the map of our project. We'll get more into it in detail later in the presentation. There are 4 downtown stations, beginning at the Spring Street Terminal was the northern end. There's one at Broad and Rich Street and Grant in the downtown area. Along the Columbus area, there are stations at Champion, Kelton, Nelson, and I think that's it. Then in Bexley, we have one station in Bexley. And then we have one more station in Columbus on James Road. The Maplewood, Hamilton, and Fairwood roads are in the city of Whitehall, and the last 4 stations are at Bryce, Half, Taylor, and Eastwood Drive, which is the end of line development. And again, it's a 13.6 mile corridor with 17 stations, and potentially could bring as many as up to 100,000 jobs potentially along the route once in place. Next slide. Progress to date through the 30%. We basically focused on getting the alignment of the project. There was much planning going on in the years, I believe, 21 through 24 to get to where we are today. The actual design started in early January of 24. There has been a lot of working with the 4 municipalities, Columbus, Bexley, Whitehall, and Reynoldsburg along the route for access changes. I should mention in the areas where we have a dedicated bus lane along the 8 mile of the corridor, there will be a center island median that will not allow for left turns across the median, which will significantly cut down on some of the safety. There's a significant amount of crashes over a 10-year period along the corridor, and we can talk about that later in the presentation if we have time. Again, in 24, CODA adopted the local preferred alternative, which was East Main Street. Prior to that, there was many studies that was done, and we looked at East Broad Street, East Main Street for east-west connection, and ultimately it was decided that East Main Street would be the corridor. West Broad Street, as mentioned earlier by Jeff, is the first project or the first BRT to go forward. Next slide. This slide gives you a picture of the entire corridor with all the station locations, but mainly what it shows is the areas where we're in dedicated traffic, which is the hard blue line, and where you see the orange broken lines, that's what we call mixed traffic. In those areas, the bus would just basically flow with the general purpose traffic. And if the general areas are, the first area coming out of downtown is over the 7071 interchange. The next area of mixed traffic would appear in Bexley. And then further to the east, the next area would be over the 270 interchange. And then farther east from Reynoldsburg Half Road to the end of the line would be in mixed traffic. Next slide. So in 2023, the National Cooperative Highway Research Program, or NCHRP, looked at ways to safety benefits by considering how the street could be better used by all modes of travels for pedestrians, cyclists, and transit. There was a program that came out of that called NCHRP 1036. Next slide. And East Main is designing, based upon some of these safe system design approaches for the corridor to improve transit in the corridor by adding new medians, which I touched upon, to reduce potential left turn conflicts, signal left turns with dedicated lanes, additional organized pedestrian crossings. So within the corridor, there's been an extensive amount of effort put into placing somewhat mid-block crosswalks, but also all signalized crosswalks will be upgraded. And then there's been a big attempt to minimize pedestrian crossing distances wherever possible. To the extent that we can, we're trying to only do widenings at or where we're dropping in transit stations. So throughout most of the corridor, we're trying to basically do our best just to widen where absolutely necessary to allow for the transit stations to be placed. Next slide, please. So I talked briefly about this. This slide basically shows the old paradigm of traffic engineering and how automobiles, rideshare, freight, transit bikes, and pedestrians were prioritized. The new paradigm shift is that it focuses more on people and moving people rather than just vehicles. So the shift is now to put more of a focus on pedestrians, bicycles, and transit. Not saying automobiles don't matter, of course they do, but they find their place in the scheme of things as it relates to people. So next slide. Dedicated center turn lanes. Briefly touched upon this. Again, the center running BRT with the medians is safer due to it reduces the conflict points. It's anticipated with the center medians throughout the project, we could cut crashes down through this corridor as much as 33%. Excuse me. The current crashes that occur, we pulled crashes over a 10-year period, and one crash basically occurs every other day along the corridor along East Main Street. So with the center running medians and the BRT, that will significantly bring down our left turn conflicts and provides better access management. Access will be now maintained at the signals, and U-turns will also be allowed at the intersections at the signals. So we've taken a lot of time and effort to design the signals in such a way that they're much more efficient with the TSP, better timing, and at the same time added in turn lanes, left turn lanes, right turn lanes wherever possible, and created at most intersections, not all, but most of the intersections now are capable, widened out enough to allow for the U-turns, and therefore making less conflict for the bus, making it faster to travel and more cost effective overall. Next slide. And here's some of the changes I've been talking about. Median in areas with the center running BRT, be across Whitehall, Columbus, and portions of Reynoldsburg. The first mile in Reynoldsburg. The last 3 miles, I believe, will be in mixed traffic. And as I mentioned, it doesn't show well here in the slide, but there will be a center island median that runs adjacent to the dedicated bus lanes that will run along the 8-mile corridor where we have dedicated lanes. And again, that will improve the crash rate, but also improve the ability to have better, safer modes, and again, upgrading the intersections for left turns, right turns, and efficiencies will help in the long run as well. So I know there's a concern about losing a lane, but we've really put a lot of effort into upgrading the intersections wherever possible and adding in-turn lanes and increasing the efficiency through the signal system. Next slide. And here's some examples of what you could expect on terms of the center island medians. Obviously, they won't have trees planted in them. There'll be a concrete median. I believe they are, Lisa, well, I'm not exactly sure. I think they are 4 feet tall and 2 feet wide, I think is the dimensions on those islands. There'll be a concrete median island that will run between the stations along the corridor where we have dedicated lanes. And here's just, excuse me, here's a couple examples of similar situations as such. Next slide. Stations. Here's a good slide of what amenities each one of the station will house. I'm not going to go through it all, but as you can see, it's a more modernized stations. The stations will be placed in the center island median, and folks will travel at signalized intersections, up ramps and ramp up to the stations, which are about 18 inches, I believe, above grade, so that they can easily step onto the bus. But we can just you can just view this, and if you want, if you have any questions, we can talk about it in the Q&A session. But this is a good example of all the amenities of the station elements. And next slide. And here as well, here's a plan view of where those would lay out along the station. Yeah. And next slide. And here's a good elevational drawing of what the station would look like. And again, there's an opportunity for each station to be somewhat customized and allow for a community art wall. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end as well. But I think that's it. Next slide.
Thanks,
right.
Steve.
I'm going to turn it over to Eliza for what's new.
All right. Thanks for giving us the background and how we got to where we are today. We are going to talk about what's changed in the last year. We have some corridor-wide updates. We have identified and refined our median and U-turn locations, making sure that vehicles can safely turn at those locations, and a couple of places where we had to do a little more analysis and design work to make sure that it works. We've also looked at mid-block pedestrian crossings, places where we have high demand or safety concerns about crossing. In some cases, we've added some turn lanes to address capacity concerns, and we've been coordinating with both utilities and emergency services to make sure access for EMS and utilities can be properly located. On the next slide, we will talk about what's changed specifically in the last year. As we work through the design progress to get to 60% design and beyond, we have refined some station locations. So initially, we had planned to have a station near Alum Creek Drive, and that has moved a little bit closer to Nelson Road to accommodate traffic there at Alum Creek. And in the city of Bexley, we have relocated a station from South Drexel Avenue to Pleasant Ridge. The Collingwood Avenue location has been moved closer to Maplewood. And we've also looked at some changes where we originally planned to have the corridor downtown on High Street that has been moved over to 3rd and adjusted some of the station locations downtown. Next. So in the city of Columbus, within the downtown area, we have an inset map here showing where the stations will be located. These are located also near places where we know we'll draw a high ridership, popular destinations and locations to go. We do have dedicated guideway where you see the solid green line downtown. Next. In the Columbus area, we have 5 stations. We have mostly dedicated guideway for BRT. There are some transition areas where you see the dash lines that do have areas of mixed traffic, and that is based on our traffic analysis and design constraints. Next slide. Here's a visualization near Broad Street about how this design would look and feel for drivers and bus riders. And we have a brief video. This will show areas where vehicles are driving, but also how the turns will be facilitated. We are coordinating with Columbus Downtown as well on where they're intending to have other projects like bike lanes and incorporating that into our design. And our next visual is at Kelton Avenue, what the station placement and dedicated bus lanes would look like near that location. And we'll be moving on to Bexley. In Bexley, we have one station. It is primarily mixed traffic, or it is mixed traffic through the city of Bexley due to some existing planted medians and design constraints. And then it does transition into dedicated BRT as you get to the east of Bexley. Here is a visualization of the station located at Pleasant Ridge within the mixed traffic. We will note that these visuals don't show all of the parking that is currently existing. We are not going to be impacting much of the parking in the city of Bexley. So there might be some areas where near intersections where or near the station where we're making some design adaptations, but we have made every effort to preserve that on-street parking. All right, we're moving on to Whitehall. Within the city of Whitehall, we have 3 stations at Maplewood, South Hamilton Road, and Fairway, and we have a good bit of dedicated BRT. There is a portion of mixed traffic where you see the dashed lines. And here is a representation of what that station would look like at Maplewood Avenue with the dedicated bus lanes as well. We do want to also have enhanced crossings at those locations, so highly visible crossings. In some places you might notice today are just the single solid line bar type crossings. These will be the ladder style where possible. And in Reynoldsburg, we have 4 stations: Bryce Road, Half Drive, Taylor Road, and end of line near Eastwood Drive. We have mostly mixed flow. There is a portion of dedicated BRT between Bryce Road and Half Drive. And we also have a video for this location as well. All right, so in that visualization, we also got to see how some of the U-turns would be facilitated and the signal operations there, as well as the station design. That wraps it up for me as far as what we've done. I'm going to hand it back to Jeff.
All right, thank you very much. So thank you for sitting through our presentation. It's now going to be time to answer some questions you might have. But we want to invite you to visit our website, linkuscolumbus.com, and sign up for project updates so we can keep you updated throughout this entire process. You can also send us an email at info@linkuscolumbus.com with any questions and comments you might have later today or down the road. We also invite you to follow us on social media at LinkUS Columbus to keep up with the latest that is happening on linkus.com. And there's a QR code to help get you connected there.